were listening last night, you'll have heard me have a little bit of a disagreement with film journalist Andy Gibbons about which scene of the film was the real tearjerker.
I cried at the right bit, and I think a lot of listeners will agree with me.
Right, tomorrow night we're gonna carry this on with other people.
To.
Which bit did you cry at? Because you cried at the wrong bit.
Okay, then which bit of Up did you cry at?
I haven't even seen Up.
Okay, see Up tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll talk tomorrow, and then tell me which bit you cried at.
Okay, I'll get the DVD out and watch Up tomorrow. Because that's good, because I was going to be bored tomorrow. Yeah, well, I wasn't bored because I took your advice and I went to this shop, which obviously can't be named, and I got out Up and I watched it today. And you're right, it's a very, very good film. Thank you for recommending it to me.
You're quite welcome, Ian.
Very excellent. Before we talk about Up, Toy Story 3, am I going over the top by saying it's the most perfectly crafted film I think I've ever seen?
No, I think it's a wonderful film. I think we were talking about last night. It was me who mentioned that they spent 4 years on the script. It was
you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
4 years. I can see. There's not a line out of place, is there?
Yeah, I mean, the guys at Pixar absolutely know what they're doing. They never put a thing in. Their sort of rule of thumb there is everything for the film. So everything that goes in will have a reason. They have meetings every day where they discuss plot, where they discuss every shot. It really is. I mean, it's a great place to work. You know, I was lucky enough to go there earlier this year and do some interviews for it, and it blew me away. And just the dedication and the love they show for their film, for their projects and their characters there.
What's it like there? What's the setup like there, Andy?
It's amazing. Literally, as we pulled up on the bus there, you walk down this little avenue, trees everywhere. It's very green. To the left, there's a little amphitheatre, and there was a group doing aerobics in there. You walk into this huge atrium. And there's characters from the films everywhere. There's sort of life-size Mike and Sully from Monsters, Inc. And there's the things from, characters from Cars and Woody and Buzz. And it's just this huge... They've designed it. They purpose-built this place so that everyone would sort of come together into this big communal area to be able to meet there and talk about these films. And it's this huge atrium. You know, it's easily, I'd say, 40-foot high ceiling, but there's loads of light pouring in. It's all sort of directed towards creativity. That absolutely comes across.
It's not sort of creepy and cultish, is it?
No,
anyway?
no. You know, people are running. You know, they've got bicycles all over the place for people to pick up and ride around to get to meetings. There are people on scooters. It's you know, you'd love to work there. It's a playground for adults.
Right, the thing we talked about last night, you laid down the gauntlet and I took up the challenge, so I spent a pleasant couple of hours this afternoon watching the animated film Up. Did I cry? I didn't. Okay. You did, didn't you?
There are 2 points in that film that sort of had me...
Are we allowed to... let me just check with my producer. Are we allowed to talk about what actually happens and whether...
I think so. Statute of Limitations, it's well over a year old now.
Yeah, we're allowed to do it, because I've been told off for talking about the ending of Sixth
Sense. It's out on DVD, so I think
we are. Okay.
People have had their chance.
Right, so there's a bit at the beginning where it does a very clever little sort of montage about the fact that these young people meet at the beginning of the film, and in their lives they want to be adventurers and they want to take off and discover this new world, but they meet and they get married, and then she's told she can't have kids, and they never really go anywhere, do they? Yeah. And she dies.
Yeah, I mean, circumstances conspire. They always plan to go off to this trip to a place called Paradise Falls. Circumstances conspire. At one point, Carl breaks his leg. The car breaks down. A tree goes through the house in a storm. So their savings keep getting eaten up in sort of mundane day-to-day stuff, and they never go off on this big adventure that they promise. And when Carl realises this, you know, he's an old man by now, but he goes out and he buys the tickets to take his wife to Paradise Falls, where they've always said they'd go. And on the day he's going to give her the tickets, she falls ill. And then, in very quick succession, she dies. And there's a shot of him sitting in a church, obviously after the funeral, and he's a balloon seller. And he's sitting there just holding this balloon, looking so heartbroken. I mean, how that cannot just melt your heart is beyond me.
It was sad. Okay, I didn't cry, but yes, absolutely, of course. And what's the second bit?
There's a section towards the end of the film where Ellie has had a thing called her adventure book, and it was all the adventures she was going to go on in her life.
His wife, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a section in this book that says, stuff I'm going to do. And as far as Carl is concerned, they never got to do these things. And he's sitting there towards the end of this film. It looks like everything's gone against him. It looks like he's lost. And just as he's about to get rid of this book, a page folds over, and he just notices there's something there. And he flicks through and he sees the stuff I'm going to do is full of pictures of their married life together and how happy she was. And she's actually written in the book, thanks for the adventure, now go have a new one. And that, you know, that just shows that he was her greatest adventure. So no matter what they always said about going off to Paradise Falls, he was her adventure. And just that love there, I mean, that's beautiful. That's like, you know, when you're at the seaside and you see the old couple sitting there sharing their sandwiches and their thermos flask. It's, you know, it's very, very touching.
It is. What did you make of the actual sort of meat of the film? Because I loved the beginning, and I loved that bit at the end, and I thought the whole tenet of the story, that idea that life is an adventure and you don't need to go flying off to some mountain somewhere to have a proper adventure. Just, you know, being a couple and staying together forever is a life adventure. That's such a lovely idea, you know, very Disney, very perfect, but, you know, life ain't like that. But a great idea and very romantic. I just found the bit in the middle, the whole story was a bit odd.
I think it's very much bookended, that film. You know, you have these touching moments, beginning and end, and at the end where Carl has realised, you know, he can still have this adventure in his life, and he sort of takes on Russell, the kid who he's with, and, you know, his life will go on from there. But in the middle, you have to have the adventure.
That bird.
Kevin the bird.
I thought that was a really odd character.
I mean, he's a plot device more than anything. He's there. He's what you know. He's there. I can't remember the name of the guy who, the explorer that
Months.
they are. Months. Sorry, yeah. You know, Kevin's the MacGuffin. Kevin's the reason they're all there. But Doug is a beautiful character, the talking dog. Russell's very sweet. But I think that central section is a bit more for the kids. That's the adventure. That's the funny characters. That's the colours.
And very unusual for a Disney character to actually die. I was looking at. I was a bit Anaraki, and I looked at all the sort of extras on the DVD afterwards, and they were talking about this kind of real angst that they went through afterwards. The director and all his cohorts saying, "How are we going to get this character to disappear? This Muntz character, because Disney characters don't die." But we couldn't get rid of him. We wanted to kind of have a catharsis so that he would somehow disappear but be reformed, because in the end he wasn't really a baddie, but we had to make him a baddie because we had to have some kind of symposium for the main character, but we couldn't do it without getting rid of him. But how do you make him die? So they kind of had to in the end.
I think it's important to make the distinction that he's a Pixar character rather than a Disney character.
Right, okay.
Because, I mean, Disney, there have sort of been deaths through Disney films over the years. You just have to look at things like Bambi's mother, The Wicked Witch and Snow White. You know, Disney have never been afraid of that sort of thing. Pixar, yeah, they haven't really sort of dealt with deaths over the years. But you know, things move on. They had to get rid of the character somehow. They couldn't, you know, they couldn't have him carry on.
Okay. Let's talk to people about their Weepy films. Jason in Huntington, you're first on the list. On you go.
Hi there. Yeah, good morning. I was just listening to your conversation.
Have you seen Up?
I've seen Toy Story 3 with my 6-year-old, and I have to confess, at the end I had a dewy eye.
How good a film is that in terms of craft?
It's class, absolute class.
It's perfect.
It's awesome. I know friends who haven't got kids, you know, they absolutely adore the film, and all three I think have been absolutely superb. I'd like to see it again. I can't wait for it to come out on DVD, to be honest.
I think it's one of the greatest films I've ever seen. Anyway, what makes you cry?
Well, okay, Phil, there's a couple of things. One's on TV at the moment, but the film is probably Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence.
What music that is.
Rossini Sakamoto. But do you remember when they're all shaking hands because they're going to get executed?
Yeah.
That's just how anybody can
comes
not...
in.
Yeah, you got it. You know, it's just, I mean, that's just mind, you know, it's just unbelievable. Great film. So that brings a tear.
Yeah.
It's not a film, but it always gets me, and it's on TV at the moment, is Blackadder Goes Forth, you know, at the very end.
Oh, right, yeah, in the war bit.
Yeah.
Where I know. And the sun comes up.
Yeah, that's it.
That's actually yeah.
And what made me cry watching England v Algeria in Cape Town.
Yeah.
During the World Cup when I was out in Cape Town. Yeah.
Oh, you were there, were you?
I was there, yeah.
Will you boo the England team tomorrow?
I'm taking my 6-year-old for the first time, so I'll have a tear in my eye with probably, because that'll be his first England match, so he's got all of his life to despair watching England play, hasn't he? Good
Lord. If you sleepwalk, you've managed to fuse every single subject that we've had on this programme tonight. You don't, do you?
No, straight after this, I'll be going straight to sleep. I've got a long day tomorrow.
And you read classic poetry. Amazing. You're a perfect listener. Thanks very much, Jason.
Thank you.
Cy in Corby, what makes you weep?
Evening.
Evening.
It's Marley and Me when the dog dies at the end.
Yeah. I
That
haven't.
made me cry because it was also a book.
I haven't really seen that film, so you'll have to bring me up to speed with that. So, who dies? The dog?
The dog called Marley, yeah, he gets an illness and they have to put there and he dies.
Is there any
There's also another one I just thought of while listening.
Go on.
Of the boy in the striped pajamas.
Oh dear. That's horrible, isn't it? When it's like it's the commandant's son, and he kind of swaps clothes with one of the boys who's actually in the concentration camp. And
Have you also? It's an old film, Tommy the Rock Opera by the Who.
right.
That's also about a blind, deaf and dumb boy. That's also another one that I found emotional as well.
Well, we've got a film expert with us, Andy. Tell us about Tommy. Did that make you cry?
It depresses me slightly to hear that described as an old film.
Yeah, I know.
But it's a rock opera. I can see why at times. Yeah, I mean it's a powerful film. It is quite emotional. I wouldn't necessarily personally describe it as a weepy, but I can absolutely see why it is a powerful film.
I would describe it as a creepy rather than a
In
weepy.
places, but I would describe it more than anything as a musical.
Yes,
because the
quite.
music in it is fabulous.
Thank you very much. Dave from Ipswich. What makes you cry, Dave?
Hi, hello. The film that absolutely broke me into, and quite recently, was a reviewing of E.T.
Is it still as weepy now as it was then?
Oh, it's worse, because you know what's coming. You know what's coming, and you see the flowers start to crumble. And I was actually eating my dinner, and I had to push it aside and curl up into a fetal position just to allow the tears to flow, because it just snapped me in two.
You're very lucky. We weren't allowed to watch telly when we had food. Not in our house. Mind you, my mum was so strict we weren't allowed to watch telly when we'd just been to the films. We came home, she said, "Nope, that's it, you've seen enough telly." I said, "We've been to the cinema. It's the same thing," and that's it, we weren't allowed to. So E.T. for you.
Day, don't spoil it.
Yeah, you've had a nice day, don't spoil it. Quite right. Thank you, Dave. Barry from Bethnal Green in East London. What about you?
Hi there. I was just sitting at home with my flatmate tonight, and Saving Private Ryan came on. And I said, "Oh, you must watch this," because I come from Wexford in Ireland where it was filmed, and we said, "Okay, we'll watch it." She said, "I can't watch it because I'll just burst into tears." And I said, "Oh, I didn't cry it the first time I watched it years ago, but tonight I just bawled. So many scenes throughout the movie. It really got me. And then when I came into bed and I turned on the station and you were talking about movies that make you cry, it was so weird. It was just like, oh my God, I can't believe we're talking about that.
Which particular scenes?
Oh, I mean, there's just so many. I mean, the one where they come up across the radar station, and then the medic guy that was with them on the journey he died. That was the first one that we just started crying. Myself and Nemo, we just started crying at that one, and then obviously just towards when they finally meet Private Ryan and they're on the bridge, and he says he's going to stay with them and fight against the Germans coming across the bridge, and then it's just when the guy he's a weaker character, he doesn't really want to fight in the war, he's the translator. And the scene with him with the German when he kills these two comrades upstairs, and then he's just standing on the stairs and the German comes down the stairs and they just walk past each other, and it's just this moment where they look into each other's eyes and they just you just can't.
It's the one scene that gets me, and Spielberg always manages to do it. There's always one scene where he gets me, and it's the scene where the German stabs him and kills him.
That's
and
the
it's
one.
that look when he always does one moment, and he just goes and he says shh shh. Just as he stabs it, it's like, "I'm killing you now, be quiet."
Yeah, be quiet, I'm killing you. And that's the scene where then that German, he just walks down the stairs, and the translator, the American translator, he's just standing on the stairs, and the German walks past him, and they just look at each other, and they don't do anything. And then later on, about 20 minutes later, that German guy, it shoots Tom Hanks.
That's right.
And that's where the translator guy eventually he shoots him back, and it's just like, oh yeah. But yeah, it just got me tonight.
Oh, I'm not going to sleep. Thanks very much indeed, Barry. Thanks for making that night horrible. 5 minutes to 1. Thank you to one and all. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah.
I think that the important point to make here is that as men, we should not be ashamed to cry at films. They're there for a reason, and if you feel emotionally connected to a movie, go for it.
Quite right. It's 4 minutes to 1.